Hi, Facebook friends. Good morning. Happy Monday. Helen Arcantu here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and so happy to spend some time with you at the start of your week. Many of us celebrated Mother's Day yesterday. So for those of you who did, hope it was a wonderful celebration. For those of you, Mother's Day is actually a tough day for so many people for lots of different reasons. So big hugs to anyone, who did feel some challenges for sure. But happy if you're in Northern New Jersey to have some sunny skies today and hopefully some warmer temps and getting it back to feeling like May. We are so happy to have some time this morning for us to be able to check in. Post Mother's Day, it's a great opportunity for us to be talking about an event that we are hosting on Thursday of this week, which will come quickly. And we wanted to make sure that you knew about it. We specifically, our wonderful team at the YW, especially Alicia, our women's coordinator, really spent some time thinking about Mother's Day and thinking about what moms might need as part of our Motherhood Uncensored event. And, connected with our wonderful guest today to be able to craft something very special and something very needed. We know that it's not uncommon for moms and caregivers to put themselves lower on the list, sometimes at the very bottom, some definitely, not regularly at number one for sure. And, sometimes also with Mother's Day, there is that post Mother's Day letdown that the day was not exactly what you imagined it to be. And you need to be thinking about making sure that, you create those moments for self-care for yourself and, just really focus on a journey for wellness and balance in your life like our guest has done in hers. And, she's a great role model for us. So I want to welcome Mary Vidal today to YWTV. Thank you for joining us, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. I'm very passionate about talking about self-care, and especially on the heels of Mother's Day, as you said, it's a very loaded holiday. So
I
I think
agree. I agree. I mean, I do feel like there's so much, also, as moms, we were like, oh, this is our day to, relax. But sometimes it is not relaxing.
correct.
And
And
that's on the heels of lots of other stressful days.
yes, exactly. So I hope everyone had a lovely Mother's Day, and I got more relaxing than I thought I was going to, just because my husband was sick. So we were chilling, and that was nice in its own way. I think
Yes,
just
having that
sort of
having that time. So for our guests, I want to tell them a little bit about you, Mary. And again, so grateful that you could take the time to be with us and make the space for us on Thursday, to really focus on this conversation. Mary is a personal trainer. She is a yoga and self-massage instructor. She's a beauty counter consultant, and she is a women's self-care advocate. She is passionate about helping women feel better in their bodies and from that whole cycle of motherhood to menopause. Her specialty is teaching moms to restore their core pelvic floor through fitness and through movement, which is so important for feeling good about yourself, your body, and everything from we'll talk about that for sure. All the impacts that has in our life. Mary's mission is to educate, empower, and inspire women to take charge of their self-care and thrive in every phase of their life. In her free time, this Hoboken resident loves to hang out with her husband and her teenage sons. She likes to go hiking in the mountains of New Jersey and New York, and she likes to sing with the Cantigas. Did I say that right? Women's choir, which I love. That's such a kind of beautiful offset, the hiking and the singing. You've got a little bit all of that in there to balance, to do some balancing with your yoga and your massage and your work life. And so with that, welcome again, Mary. So tell us a little bit about your personal wellness journey, because, I know that this is something that you really, embraced in your life. And how did it become a priority for you so that we can, help learn how to make it a priority for us?
Sure. Really, I feel like it's very much an evolution. It wasn't like an necessarily one thing that kind of pushed me there. I grew up in a family that was pretty active and also health conscious. My dad was a doctor, my mother's a nurse. We were always on the go doing physical things growing up. So that kind of set the stage, I think. But then it really was when I became a mother that I started to understand really the importance of self-care, because all you mothers out there know, after you get pregnant and have a child, at least from a body standpoint, especially, it's a whole person standpoint. It just rocks your world, right? It affects every single aspect of your life. And I think, like many women, I wasn't totally prepared for what um, happened to me. And, when I became a mother, I have 2 children. And really, that was kind of the beginning of my self care journey. And so, the reason why I specialize in core and pelvic floor health is because I experienced my own core and pelvic floor issues after having my children, and was really determined to find a way to restore not just my own body, but help other people do that as well. Because at the time, my children are 16 and 18 now, but when they were younger, there was not a lot of information on this stuff, and now there is. It's so wonderful to see. But I wanted to be part of that education and offering of support to women who are going through motherhood and experiencing these issues. But that was really just the start. I feel like I've had multiple bumps. And the reason why I say I work with women from motherhood through menopause, because the self-care, it's like you continually have to reevaluate your self-care. And when I hit my 40s, I started entering perimenopause, and all these changes started happening that I had no idea. Another thing I was not prepared for. Um, and then along the way, I didn't put this in my bio, I don't think, but I actually had breast cancer 4 years ago. So that was, another thing. And now I'm in menopause. So all these things with every, I think, life event and life change really just made me kind of double down on self-care, because as we get older, it becomes so much more important.
Well, I have to just thank you for being so candid about your own personal experience, because, we spend a lot of time talking here on YWTV and in our women's programs about how important it is to share stories, and how those stories are really what inspire us to make change, because we feel that connection with someone. And, what you're talking about is something that so many women are impacted with. And although there is definitely more out there around core and pelvic floor issues that happen, people still don't always feel so free and comfortable to talk about it. And for sure, although there is much more conversation about menopause, there still are not, that happens in like smaller spaces. It isn't these are not conversations that are so open to everyone to be part of. So we are always eager to share, a space, for them, because we know how many people really are not still, talking about it or feeling comfortable. And, and thank you also. I'm so happy to hear that, you can, bring to it your journey that you went through with your own breast cancer. Again, so, as our bodies shift and change, these are things we have to be thinking about, checking on, and, hopefully catching early, to be able to, work through that. And, those are conversations for sure, unto their own, very specifically, but definitely, are something to be thinking about when we think about our self wellness, right? Because all the stressors on our life, you know, um, uh, impact us. So let's talk about, we said, we put ourselves low on the list for sure. Um, how can we prioritize our needs? I mean, obviously, you talked about the evolution that you went through to get there in your own journey. um, if the prioritization isn't done for us, right? Because life, and we talked in our women's conference in March with Mia Ali, a health coach, about kind of when that wake up call happens, right? But what if we don't want to wait for that wake up call, right? What if we just want to be proactive? Can you give us some tips about how we can, very simply make some steps here in the right direction?
Sure. And I think you said the key word is steps, right? A lot of this is mindset. So I think, sometimes people think like, oh, self-care, it's too big. I don't have time for that. I really emphasize baby steps, little things, start small. Um, and I kind of, what I tell all my clients really, excuse me, is you have to make self-care a daily act, and you have to make it a non-negotiable appointment with yourself every day. So that may be 2 minutes, that may be 5 minutes, whatever it is. Start small, put it on your calendar. If you use a calendar, whatever it is, actually schedule that time in, even if it's like a little bitty sliver on your calendar. Put it there and just make it non-negotiable. I mean, obviously there's going to be some emergencies, but make the time in your schedule, because it's not going to happen if you don't actually schedule the time in, especially if you have younger kids.
Yeah, that's such good advice to put it down, because it does make it more formal for sure, and hopefully less able to ignore it. When it's staring at you and popping up, whether you use it through your phone or you're still old school and write things down. For sure. So we put it on our schedule and we make it a priority. How do we also train ourselves to not only schedule it, but to also listen to our bodies a little bit and to be in tune with them? Obviously, if we're listening, our body is telling us what it needs, but we're not always wired to listen.
Yeah, I mean, that is a tricky one. Part of it is just taking the time to pause. So if you make that time for yourself, I'm a huge proponent of breathing. Um, and I know a lot of people, you say that and they get anxious. Um, so if breathing isn't something that resonates with you, just doing anything that resonates with you and puts you in your body. So maybe that's going for a walk, maybe that's gardening, anything where you actually feel like physically present, is super helpful. Sometimes it's like, I actually used to do martial arts years ago. Sometimes it's like physically like hitting a target, something where you can actually, really feel and get into your body. Singing is another good thing, because it creates a vibration in your body. There's so many ways, and everybody's different. So I think finding something that works for you, where you can start to tune in, that's where you want to begin.
And so, you put in here in your bio, you talked a little bit about hiking, singing, some of these pieces that help balance you. And obviously you talked about having teen boys and how, this has been an evolution for you. In Motherhood Uncensored, we talked to moms, that are in all different stages of, motherhood for sure. How did it change for you as your boys got older? How did your self-care journey evolve? And is there? And I know we'll talk about this in much more detail when we're all together on Thursday, virtually, of course. But when we're all together virtually, but you know, was there something specific that was different for you as you hit different age blocks for your boys?
Oh, sure, definitely. I mean, in the beginning, I'm very much about what I call like sneaky movement or sneaky fitness, sneaking in things with your children, or in your daily tasks, because like you really don't have time when you have babies, when you have toddlers. Like it feels like you can't even take a breath. You can, but it's a lot of it is being creative about how you do it. And so, as they get older, you start to get bigger and bigger windows of time where you can actually breathe or do something for yourself. So when they were younger, I would get my movement in with them because that was the only way I really could do that. As they got older, I was able to, maybe take a class or, do something on my own a little bit more. And now, obviously, they're very self-sufficient now, and so I go out hiking by myself. I used to take them hiking with me. They don't really want to hike with mom anymore, but I love hiking with other women now, and so it's really been. I just continue to do the things that I love. It just changes a little bit in every phase of motherhood.
Well, that's so good to know, and so good for us to kind of keep in mind that, there is a way. And I love the sneaky, the sneaky movement, that concept, because although, I have 9-year-olds now, I can remember, how hard it is, when they were infants to, think about anything, also because you're just so exhausted back then from lack of sleep. Hopefully that's worked itself out a little bit, as they've gotten a little older. But it definitely, sneaking it in is such a great, uh, it's really great advice and something for us to think about. For our viewers today, there's going to be so much more great advice, and so much more around this conversation. We have the link here in the comments for all of you to register for our Motherhood Uncensored event with Mary. That is this Thursday, and it is the May 12th, and it is at noon. And we put it there on purpose because we thought you could bring your lunch and have it with us. And no matter what you're doing, if you're a working mom, out and and on Zoom with meetings all day, out for you're an office job, or whatever it is that you can take that break at noon, and join us, or, however you're planning your day, however, as a mom, you're spending it, that you've created some time for yourself. That's the first step. And then hopefully we'll learn the others from there, with Mary for sure. So Mary, tell us a little bit about Whole Core. I know that that's a place where we can connect with you, and see what is up, with Mary, other than when we're with her on Thursday. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it evolved for you?
Sure. I started, I actually started out in the corporate world as in a very technical job. But when I had my kids, I became a yoga instructor, and I taught yoga for many years, mostly to moms, postnatal yoga, prenatal yoga. And then about 5 years ago, I started Whole Core. I became a personal trainer, a self-massage instructor, and really what I provide. Pre-COVID, I was doing more in-person and group sort of things, but I've really migrated now to mostly one-on-one and very small group training, where I do a combination of functional strength training, yoga, self-care techniques, self-massage, and pretty much like do what is needed for each individual person. And I help people restore at the very first, we start with core function, restoring core function, and address whatever it is that might be affecting that. So oftentimes it is like tight muscles or weakness, and I built a very customized program to help women restore their core and get back to doing the things that they love. Or really, that's my primary goal. It's like get back to or start a new activity that you really enjoy. So I do one-on-one in-person training in Hoboken and Jersey City Heights, and everywhere else I'm doing virtual now, which is one of the great things about this last couple of years.
Right. It definitely evolved us. And it's also interesting to hear, we've had so many women-owned businesses on over these last few years, hearing about how they evolved during this time, and now what parts of those evolutions are going to keep permanently. So it's good to know that there's both options, for sure, and staying connected. I just followed you on IG, so you gained one more follower, and I hope others, follow suit. It's always wonderful to, as much as sometimes folks think that social media can be like, dead time. I get a lot of inspiration sometimes from my scrolling and, seeing a post about, which is sometimes a good reminder, to put something back on my calendar for myself. I am no different than anyone else. Part of the reason I encourage and love when our team like Alicia comes forward with these ideas is, to manifest for myself as well, and try to get better. It's so important, and it doesn't matter what age your kids are, as you've said. Or your caregiving, even if it's, caregiving on the other end of someone in your life that's not a child. There's so much on us to carry, and unless we keep strong, both physically and mentally, we definitely cannot do it well. There is no doubt. So before we leave each other, Mary, is there anything else that you'd like to say to our viewers to make sure that they, think about joining us on Thursday?
Let's see. To join us on Thursday, well, I'm really going to dive a lot deeper into what my version of self-care is. It's a very holistic view. So I might be talking about things that maybe you wouldn't have considered would be self-care. So you might want to tune in for that. And if we have a little time, I'll do a little teaser of a few exercises that you could do on your own. Again, sneaking in a little bit of self-care into your day. So you can look forward to that as well.
I love that. I love that. And I know I'm, really looking forward to it. And it's always good to, I know so many of us sometimes feel like, that we know what self-care is. It's just a matter of doing it. But, everyone does do it a little bit differently. And, it's wonderful to hear when, practitioners like yourself have evolved, thinking into a different place. And it might be something that connects with us so much better than other things that we've heard. So I do encourage everyone to take the time, make the time for yourself, for our hour together with Mary. Again, it's 12 o'clock, 12 noon on May 12th, all the 12s. And we're going to go through some self-care strategies and takeaways. And it is a free event, and it is virtual. So wherever you are, you can join us. And again, we have in the comments here, so you can easily register, and you'll get the link right back. And we will see you then. And other than that, we hope that you stick with us. We have a lot more to talk about on YWTV this week, starting with tomorrow. I'll be talking with Fallon Davis of Steam Urban at 11 a.m. and looking forward to having that conversation as well. And on Wednesday, we are thinking about camp, when finally having some nice days and not wearing our winter coat in May, will be welcome, and really thinking about the summer, what our littles can be doing to stay engaged, to, be outdoors and active, to give us peace of mind, so we can focus on our other responsibilities while they are, thriving. And our camp team is amazing, and looking forward to talking with our director of our youth services area, Daniela Pinto, who will be talking a little bit about what is scheduled to come this summer. And also so many great programs for seniors. And we hope that we have we have an event for Jen coming up, and our series about STEM Girls programming kicking off tomorrow. So much to do. You can learn all about it either through our social media or through our website. And we'll have some links here for all of those events as well. Mary, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us today. I'm looking forward to talking further and, hearing, your mindset and, where you've evolved this work, for yourself. I know that, there's so many takeaways that we'll all, be able to benefit from that, short time together. But, it's all we need, moms. It's all we need is that little journey together to kind of thrust us out there, into a new space for our wellness and self-care. So I can't wait. So we will see all of you on Thursday at noon for our Motherhood Uncensored event. We'll also see you tomorrow for YWTV. And Mary, thank you so much again for your time today. I can't wait to be with you on Thursday and chat more.
Thank you for having me. Look forward to it.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Be well.